Just a week ago, Sam Altman was on with a couple people on a live stream. Brad Gerstner, an OpenAI investor, and also I believe the CEO of Microsoft is also on this call. Microsoft being a huge investor in OpenAI. So let's listen to what Brad Gerstner asks Sam Altman and how he responds.
Over the market is how can the company with 13 billion in revenues make 1.4 trillion of spend commitments? And you've heard the criticism,
First of
Sam.
all,
Okay, so here we see Sam Altman is immediately, he's got animus. He is upset about this question, but it is a very valid question. You're an investor in a company. You're wondering if they're making trillions of dollars in commitments and spending, how are they going to pay for it if they're only doing 13 billion in revenue? And we've just learned a few days ago through the press releases, I believe it was from Microsoft, that they kind of showed their hand that OpenAI is losing $13 billion a quarter. So they're doing 13 billion a year in revenue, but also losing whatever, like 12 or 13 billion every quarter. So let's see how Sam Altman responds to this.
we're doing well more revenue than that. Second of all, Brad, if you want to sell your shares, I'll find you a buyer. I just, enough. Like, people are, I think there's a lot of people who would love to buy OpenAI shares. I don't think you would
Including
want to sell,
myself. Including myself.
people who talk with a lot of like breathless concern about our compute stuff or whatever that would be thrilled to.
All right, so I don't want to play the whole thing because basically just you got the gist of it. Sam Altman is offended that they're asking where are you going to get the money to cover 1.4 trillion. So this guy Brad Gerstner asks the question, right? Where are you going to get the money? Now let's go on to X. Let's find some stories that are happening today. This is just yesterday.
How will you insure everything?
How will you insure everything? Meaning, and that's a gentler way to say, where are you going to get $1.4 trillion?
In some level, at some level, when something gets sufficiently huge, whether or not they are on paper, the federal government is kind of the insurer of last resort, as we've seen in various financial crises and insurance companies.
Okay, this is kind of bananas, right? Just a week ago, he's unable to answer the question and actually gets offended. You're asking, what are you going to do to make up for $1.4 trillion in expenditures? And now he's saying, I get it. The federal government needs to step in and do this. This is a totally bananas take, completely bananas. So here we have hedgy markets on X. Meta is hiding 30 billion in AI infrastructure, debt off its balance sheet using special purpose vehicles. He's saying off balance sheet debt through SPVs or joint ventures is becoming the standard for AI data center deals. So he's talking about Meta, but this is something happening in all of AI. This is a very interesting post. And then someone says, you're either a step ahead or a step behind on the story. OAI is already asking for a bailout. And so then they post this story that just happened this morning. And so this guy is like, yeah, I just saw that and I'm going to make a post about that too. Please, bro, just subsidize our losses and then we're good. Please, we're a national strategic asset. OpenAI is a nonprofit that now wants a federal backstop guarantee for all new CapEx investments, but also wants to IPO at $1 trillion next year for its exclusive shareholders. And you wonder why Mamdani was elected in a landslide. This is totally a socialist idea. You need to guarantee my debts, and we're just going to take the profits and run away with it. The profit and the debt need to be closely tied together, not separated into two different vacuum areas. Sam Altman is asking Trump for a bailout guarantee because private credit markets are frozen. If Trump guarantees a government bailout, then private credit makes his scam even larger, with taxpayers footing the entire bill when it implodes. Breadlines for the poor, bailouts for the rich. Absolutely true. I see a pattern. Altman and Jensen smell the end of bubble financing drying up and are going to ask Daddy for taxpayer money, citing national security issues. And here we go. So I was looking for another X post that I don't see. But basically, OpenAI is saying, a year ago, OpenAI was saying, nobody's going to beat us. Actually, it was 2023. No one can beat us. You can just give up now. Our momentum is way too great. But here we go. Here is a chart we just got a few weeks ago, enterprise large language model API market share. So this is enterprise large language model. This is not the consumer market. This is not how many downloads they have on Apple's App Store. This is not how many people are using their free interface and then their $20 a month subscriptions. This is how much money are we making with enterprise. This is a very interesting chart. So here we have OpenAI back in 2023. They were doing 50%. Anthropic wasn't even on the basically even on the radar down here at 11-12%. And then you have OpenAI in 2024. They dropped down to 35%. Anthropic, meanwhile, is 25%, much closer. And this year, Anthropic has already surpassed OpenAI's market share for the API, for the enterprise usage of the API. So enterprises are largely going with Anthropic. They're not going with OpenAI. Super interesting. So Anthropic has fewer customers, yes, but their customers pay them more. They are selling something to rich people, which is one of the great ways to build a business. Find something that rich people want and make it. And so Anthropic is winning and also projects that next year their revenue will be 17 billion, which is more than OpenAI's revenue this year. So super interesting, and I really hope the government is not going to bail out OpenAI because I just think it would be a disaster. I would say let market forces work themselves out. Or if you're going to bail somebody out, bail out Anthropic, because Anthropic is going to overtake OpenAI within the next year in revenue. So we'll see how it all plays out. But super interesting that Sam Altman just a week ago is saying that you shouldn't question where we're going to get $1.4 trillion. And then just less than a week later, it was the first, and then it was the fifth. Just a mere 4 days later, he's expressing concerns and saying the government needs to step in and bail them out. Just completely bananas. Don't know where it's going to end up, but interesting story. Thank you for watching. Please click subscribe if you want to hear more stories like this. Also, like the video. I appreciate it.